They came for me with an $84,500 lawsuit because they said my roof was too reflective. I wish that were a bad joke. It wasn't. It began on a Tuesday morning in late September. The air was sharp, the sunlight clean after a week of storms. I stepped out onto my driveway with a coffee and looked up at my new roof, pure white steel, the color of fresh snow, catching the morning light like a shield. We'd spent 3 years saving for it. My wife and I wanted something that could survive the storms that rolled off the Gulf every season, storms that had peeled back neighbors' roofs like tin cans. FEMA certified, wind rated to 140 miles an hour, and designed to reflect heat so our power bills didn't bleed us dry. I thought I'd done the responsible thing. But in the HOA's world, responsibility is just another word for threat. The letter arrived less than 48 hours after the final screw went in. It had the tone of a thank you note from someone who's about to rob you blind. Your property has been found in violation of community harmony guidelines due to excessive reflectivity. I read it 3 times. Harmony guidelines? I didn't even know that was a thing. When I asked the HOA president about it, cornering him outside his driveway, he just smiled without his eyes and said, "The rules are there for everyone's benefit." It was the kind of line that sounds fair until you realize it means his benefit. 3 days later, I logged into my HOA portal and saw it, a $500 fine, due in 15 days, for visual nuisance. No explanation, no photos, nothing. Just a digital scarlet letter next to my account balance. That night, I took a walk. The neighborhood was quiet, porch lights glowing like little moons. Every roof was a dull asphalt gray, weathered and curled at the edges. Mine was the only one that caught the moonlight. Maybe that was my crime, I'd made the place look alive. The whispers started soon after. A flyer showed up in every mailbox claiming my roof was a blinding hazard that could cause traffic accidents. On the HOA forum, someone wrote that a neighbor's toddler got a sunburn from the glare. Another said the reflection could cook an egg in seconds. It would have been funny if it wasn't turning people against us. Knowledge nugget number 1, in many states, vague HOA rules like maintain harmony are unenforceable unless they prove a measurable impact, like safety or property value loss. By the time the next HOA meeting rolled around, I decided to show up early and demand answers. But when I got there, the doors were locked. Through the narrow blinds, I saw them, the board, huddled in a semicircle, shuffling papers, their voices low. And then, her. A stranger in a navy suit, sharp haircut, heels clicking against the tile. Not a resident. She leaned over to whisper in the president's ear, and whatever she said made him grin like a cat seeing a bird with a broken wing. When the doors finally opened, the agenda was already marked, approved, without public comment. I didn't even get to speak. They moved on to landscaping budgets like my house didn't exist. Later, I learned her name, Andrea Parks. She worked for Titan Roofing Solutions, the same company the HOA had been pushing for bulk discount roof replacements. My FEMA-certified roof didn't just fail their harmony test, it tanked their sales pitch. From then on, the attacks escalated. A certified letter arrived from the county clerk. The HOA had filed a lien against my home for unpaid fines. But tucked in the packet was something stranger, a copy of a complaint they'd filed with the EPA, claiming my roof endangered migratory birds. Migratory birds. Knowledge nugget number 2, any federal complaint, even a bogus one, generates a record you can request under the Freedom of Information Act. I filed my FOIA request the same day. When the response came back, I laughed so hard it scared the dog. Half the photos weren't even of my house. One was taken in winter, before the roof existed. Another had a date stamp from 5 years ago. And the birds? None were endangered. That's when my mindset shifted from victim to hunter. I started knocking on doors. Some neighbors avoided me, but others, quietly, confessed they'd had their own run-ins with the board. A retired attorney down the street offered to help. A paralegal 2 blocks over brought me copies of past meeting minutes. My friend Rick, a contractor, started combing through the HOA's architectural codes. The real break came when we demanded the HOA's financial records. Buried in a budget labeled Community Improvement was a $12,000 consulting fee paid to Andrea Parks, just weeks before my first violation notice. It wasn't about harmony. It was a kickback. That was all I needed to go on the offensive. Screenshot this clause and tag a friend who needs HOA armor. Any HOA action outside its recorded covenants can be struck down as ultra vires, beyond their authority, and voided in court. We filed suit in county court, naming both the HOA president and Andrea personally. Fraud. Bad faith. And, thanks to my retired attorney neighbor, slander of title for the bogus lien. Court day came. The room was packed, half curious, half furious. The HOA president looked pale under the fluorescent lights. Andrea sat rigid, eyes fixed on the table. Our attorney laid out the timeline like dominoes: vague covenant, fake glare hazard, falsified EPA complaint, kickback payment. Each fact landed with a cold finality. Knowledge nugget number 3, if an HOA files an invalid lien, they can be sued for slander of title, damaging your ability to sell or refinance. The judge's gavel came down with a sharp clang. Lien voided. Fines erased. Legal fees reimbursed. The consulting fee ordered back into the HOA budget. Walking out of that courthouse, sunlight hit my roof like a spotlight. For the first time in months, I felt taller. But the victory didn't last. 2 weeks later, I came home to find a plain white envelope in my mailbox. No stamp. No return address. Inside was a single, cold house key. My house key. And a note typed in block letters. We're not done. Next week, the city that tried to steal a solar farm,